We are joined now by the Mayor of St. Paul, Melvin Carter. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us this morning. We've just seen these reports from across the country overnight. What was the situation in your city?
The situation in our city continues to be an enormous amount of rage and frustration. Thankfully, we've been able to work directly with many of our community members as we've called for peace, but not for patience. We're asking our folks, you know what, be angry, be frustrated, be upset. In many ways, as we see the gruesome video that shows the killing of George Floyd, as we see all of the videos that goes into, that those connect with throughout history that have shown us the taking of Black and brown lives, anger is really the only human compassionate response. But we also know that those of us who are disgusted by injustices against Black and brown people in our community cannot exercise that disgust by furthering those injustices.
What more do we know about who's behind the violence? You've clarified over the weekend that most of the arrests have been Minnesota residents. We've seen this drumbeat from President Trump over the weekend blaming the far left and Antifa.
There are clearly people coming in from outside of our community, but here's the thing. I think the more important thing that we have to focus on is that all of this activity, all of this action, all of this unrest, all of this destruction is taking our focus away from where it should rightfully be. We should be having a conversation in America that's centered on the fact that George Floyd ought to still be alive, that all four of those officers need to be held accountable. As you saw the police chief in Minneapolis say, he doesn't see any difference between what those other three officers did and what Officer Chauvin did, that all four of those officers are complicit in his death. And we ought to be having a conversation about the fact that we have deep, soul-searching work to do in our country to make sure that this pattern stops.
President Trump has not yet made a formal address to the nation on this crisis. What's your message to him, and what would you want to hear from the president?
I don't know what I would want to hear from the president that might be likely to actually come from the president. And I don't know what I would want to hear from Chauvin. I think a public apology is in order. But like I said, more so, I think we need to continue to hear from all of these people who are in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our streets. Our call is for all of these young folks, all of the folks who are angry about this, all of the folks who just cannot rest while these types of injustices are committed against our community, to channel that energy. And you know what? If we channel this energy into voting, if we channel this energy into running for office, if we channel this energy into dismantling the legal, the judicial, all of the, covenants written into police union contracts that make it so difficult to hold people accountable for the taking of Black lives, we really can change the course of our country forever.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me on.